Two filmmakers escape to Ingmar Bergman's island home in search of inspiration and a quiet place to write. Vicky Krieps and Tim Roth play that central couple in Mia Hansen-Løve's latest feature, Bergman Island. And then a whole other film begins. The French director is exploring the very nature of art, of life, and of creative relationships in this film, which is showing in competition here in Cannes. We sat down with the filmmaker and with her actors to find out more about this cinematic mise en abîme. Mia Hansen-Løve, Vicky Krieps, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, Bergman Island is a film within a film. It shows a real passion for cinema. And Mia, I wanted to ask you, as the person who wrote this film, directed it, and directed that film within the film, did you ever get lost in those layers?
No, I don't think I did, or if I did, I enjoyed it. I think the film is partly about getting lost, and I think the pleasure for me of writing films and making fictions has to do with this desire of losing control somehow.
And Vicky, your character in the film, Chris, she has a great creative drive, she's artistically ambitious, but you sense this struggle within her that she also wants to have a happy personal life as well. Is that something you identified with as a creative person?
Yes, but I would agree with what she said. Even there, it's about losing control. So if I want to be a good person personally or in my job, it's basically the same. And if I let go of the idea of who I want to be, I'm actually freer, and then I'm the better person in every life, in every part of myself.
Sorry.
You know how hard writing is for me? It's torture, it's self-inflicted agony. It's...
Do something else.
Like what? Full-time housewife? I really thought you would encourage me.
Are you angry?
Why her and not me?
Film takes place on Bergman Island, the former home of the Swedish filmmaker Ingmar Bergman. And I got the impression that his work and his life is a bit fetishized. There's almost a fanatical relationship with him. What did you want to say there about our relationship with artists?
It's true that there is something like that about the relationship cinephiles have with the island. Foreux is really a place of pilgrimage. The film looks at that sometimes with some humor, but I also feel a great tenderness, actually, for this. I, too, did the Bergman safari. I, too, went to those places and tried to find out where Bergman is.
So you know this island? It's kind of special, right?
It's the island of the director you and Mommy like a lot.
This place is perfect for working, easy to live in.
Wow.
You do realize we're going to sleep in the bed, but I should cease from a marriage?
Tim Roth, you star as a filmmaker in Bergman Island, and there's an interesting echo with your character, Tony, and the great Swedish filmmaker.
Right.
And I wanted to know what your relationship with Ingmar Bergman was before you signed on to do this film. Were you a fan?
No, I knew very little about him. There was a fantastic cinema where when I was growing up, there was a squat. And so you would go in, you take a can of beer, you go in there and you pay a couple of quid at the door. They would do all night, like Vida or, Kozlowski or whatever it would be. And they would do all night Bergman. This is when we were trying to be actors, like 16, 17. We thought it was very cool, very deep and dark and twisted and fun. And then over the years, I've seen them, but I don't think I am particularly an obsessive about any director.
In the film, your character seems really relaxed about producing creative work.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem to have any anxiety about it. Is that the case for you as well? Does it come easily?
Depends on the job. If you're doing a bad film, of which I've done many, it's true. And you know them when you're going in. What your job then is self-preservation up to a point, which is a good challenge. I quite like that. So you're trying to get through it and get out the other side of it, and then you're done. You'd never think about it again, kind of thing. When you're doing something that's really good, of which I've done, luckily, many of those, it's a different kind of struggle to do service to the character and to do service to the part. I would say that the similarity begins and ends with the fact that what was useful about the character within that relationship is he didn't take it too seriously. you got the feeling that, if he was writing something and it wasn't working, he'd throw it away and start the next one. He had that kind of ability to just move on. Whereas Vicky's character would stick with it and fight with it and get tangled up with it. And that's the story of the film,
All this calm and perfection, I find it oppressive.
Soothing.
Yeah, but I didn't realize, writing here, how can I not feel like a loser? I'm even afraid to sit at a desk.
Right outside then.
Mia, I wanted to ask, this sort of sentiment of writer's block, is that something that you felt, and how do you shake yourself out of it?
Oh yes, I did, but strangely enough, not with that film. Actually, I may have felt it many times before, and I still feel very vulnerable when it's about writing. I do write my scripts, but it never feels like an easy way. But it wasn't the case for me with that film. Actually, it was the film that I wrote with the most pleasure. That was the most easy film for me to write, and I think that was really thanks to the island and its magic that somehow opened doors for me.
Now, you're one of the 4 women presenting films in the official competition this year at Cannes, and there's been a lot of talk about initiatives to promote gender equality, to get more women into this sector. But as someone who's built a very successful career in the industry, what would you say are the obstacles that still mean there are fewer women doing this job?
It's not totally easy for me to analyze that, because I think the situation in France is pretty different from everywhere in the world. I think France is actually the country where you have the most female directors. You mentioned that there were 4 women in competition, and I think 3 of them are French. And I don't know well enough the situation from all around the world, but obviously it seems that there is still a long way to go for women. I don't think that's so much a matter of how many films directed by female directors are selected. I think it's more about how many films are made. I think there is something to fight for. I would say it's more than select the film in the festival. It's about really letting them happen,
Vicky, you came to prominence internationally in 2017 for your role in Phantom Thread, acting alongside Daniel Day-Lewis, and that film really showed a very complex power dynamic, an intriguing relationship. How would you say it compares to the one in this film, Bergman Island, some 70 years later?
Yeah, 70 years later and still kind of similar. True. Well, I think these kind of power dynamics, they have always been there, and they may always be, and I hope they will, because otherwise there's no dynamic. You always need the yin and the yang, you need the black and the white, and then there's like a friction, and I always say a dance. And I think in every kind of relationship, ultimately it will be a dance. Just the question is, how are you dancing?
The film was written and directed by a woman. As an actor, do you feel a difference when you're on a set where the person in charge is a woman?
No, I don't. I find every director to be different. I don't think that particularly comes into play, unless it does for the director. If the director is a woman and has had those issues in the past and brings them to the set and we discuss it. But no, I didn't find any of that with Mia. We got on with it. And it was the journey of making the film was as interesting as, in its history as the film itself.
In fact, you have directed before. That's not a role that's unfamiliar to you. The film in 1999, The War Zone, was critically acclaimed. Do you have plans to go back to that?
I don't think so. I don't know. I can't say that definitively. As every director here would testify, it takes a lot of time. And I may just want to spend what I've got left, with my family and do that stuff. So I don't know about that. Acting is a quicker hit.
Speaking of acting, I believe a future project of yours is in the Marvel Universe in the upcoming She-Hulk.
Yes, that's method acting.
Once upon a time...
Or Methodist, actually, as we call it. Yeah.
Once upon a time, it would have been considered strange for high-profile actors like yourself to, quote, jump ship into an action movie, but a lot of respected actors are going into that world, embracing those roles. What is it about Marvel that makes it an interesting prospect?
Well, I was there ages ago. I did 2 films in that kind of strange world. I did Planet of the Apes with Tim Burton in full monkey makeup, and then we did Incredible Hulk. I did them for my kids, who were very little at the time. I thought it would be it would be really funny if they had me on a lunchbox when they went to school. And also I knew that their friends would take the piss out of them, so, which I thought was good. So I just did it for fun. And then what happened is that they came back and said, would you mind bringing that character back in? And I thought, yeah, I could do that. Why not? It is a crazy, chaotic, wild world when you're filming it. It's fascinating and bizarre and hilarious all day. And we have a great time doing it.
You're a regular here at Cannes.
Yeah.
In 2012, you're the jury president for Un Certain Regard.
Thank you for that, because I didn't remember what I was here for last.
Indeed. The festival is known for its commitment to independent cinema, and you have a career that straddles both, wide appeal, blockbuster kind of films and smaller productions. How do you see the health of the cinema industry at the moment, especially when it comes to those independent productions?
I actually think it's in pretty good shape. I'm doing 3 movies. I'm doing, I hope, 3. I may not be able to make it 3 before the end of the year. They're all in that category. They're all very difficult subjects, very good filmmakers, young, interesting, new filmmakers of both sexes, and fantastically written, brilliant work that I think previously would not have been financed. I think the advent of political change and COVID has helped these projects get financed. I think during COVID, it was obviously the platform stuff that was coming out, and that's how it was released. Cinemas were closed, so on. The push to try and get people back into cinema is working in our favor, I think. I think I'm hopeful, I would say that. It's a long answer for just saying that, but there you go.
Indeed. Well, we're all hopeful for more cinema. Tim Roth, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.